Okay, gamers and gamettes, what is going on? My name is Tanek127 and welcome back to another video. And guys, in today's video, I want to talk to y'all about Pokemon Unite. However, if y'all want to stay updated with all things Pokemon Unite, make sure you're liking today's video, subscribing to the channel if you are new, and let's go ahead and get on into today's topic. By the way, do enjoy the gameplay. We have what I believe is a 16-17 elimination game here. This is actually ranked in the beginner bracket. Now, straight up, I'm not going to lie to you guys, I'm kind of smurfing here because I made a brand new account and I forgot about, how that would restart me in rank. And not to brag, but, I was an Ultra 4 or Ultra 5 before I started my new account. I don't belong in the beginner bracket, so I'm kind of slaying in this one. I'm not even trying to brag about that, but anyway. So I want to bring up to y'all 3 games. Number 1, obviously, Pokemon Unite. Number 2, Predecessor. And number 3, Smite. Or Smite 2, whatever you want to call it by now. These are the only 3 MOBAs we have on console. And out of all 3 of these MOBAs, only one is isometric, which is Pokemon Unite. And that's crazy. In a era where, everyone's obsessed with making live service games, nobody tries to bring more MOBAs or MOBAs to console because we don't have many at all. Now, granted, I know they're not the most popular genre right now, but they get really popular when they're done right. Hence, League of Legends and, all the other popular MOBAs out there. Smite in its prime and all that good stuff. MOBAs can pop off, but nobody tries. Nobody does them right. And as much as I think Smite and Predecessor are great games, they're not isometric. I prefer my MOBAs isometric with a top-down view. That's why I prefer to play Pokemon Unite. And this is the only one that offers something, similar to that kind of League of Legends-ish vibe. Now, Pokemon Unite, it's a different kind of MOBA. It's obviously, based on Pokemon. That's pretty much the gist here. Instead of, knocking down towers to go and defeat either a big tower or a crazy boss at the end, you have these little goals where you basically score a bunch of balls in, kind of like basketball, except, there's no skill to the shooting. You just hold down a button and deposit them into the goal. There's bosses on the field that you can kill for buffs. There's all kinds of different mobs and stuff like that. You can fight for different buffs and team advantages. All the MOBA mechanics are there. It's just the tower system is not in Pokemon Unite. Instead, you score the balls into the little hoops. Which, I think is a pretty cool thing. It's different, it gives Pokemon Unite a whole different kind of dynamic. The lane systems there, jungling, all those systems work in this game. And it is a fun MOBA. Pokemon Unite's going on 5 years now. There's tons of different Pokemon in it. It's cross-play on Nintendo Switch and mobile. And we don't get a lot of MOBAs like this. And, this is why I think it's probably one of the best MOBAs we have available on a console platform. Now, granted, it's limited to Switch. If you use the emulator, you can play it on PC. So, that's another thing you can also do when it comes to Pokemon Unite. Now, is Pokemon Unite without its issues? Of course not. Like every other, online multiplayer PvP game and stuff like that, Pokemon Unite has its issues. Number 1, it's made by Timmy, a mobile developer. So the microtransactions in here are extremely aggressive. There's not really, much or any like pay to win stuff in here, but there are sometimes, Pokemon locked behind paywalls when they first come out. There's a lot of different gacha outfits and and gacha systems in here and stuff like that. Pokemon Unite has its problems. There's some balance issues. There's some extremely overpowered Pokemon. There's some extremely underpowered Pokemon. You guys are going to see here with Cinderace in this gameplay. Even though I get 17 kills, I actually picked the wrong move. And despite me being in a beginner lobby, even though I picked the wrong move build I wanted to use for him, I still end up slaughtering. Like, that's how powerful this Pokemon is. Now, this is one of the higher end, more powerful ones, at least in my opinion. I think Cinderace is, one of the higher end Pokemon. This is the main Pokemon that I use whenever I play ranked. This is the guy, that got me into Ultra 4 and Ultra 5. I played straight Cinderace all throughout. But Like I said, on the same opposite end of the spectrum, there's some really underpowered ones, but I think Cinderace is one of those that are overpowered and probably could use a little balance. And despite him being one of my mains, and me really enjoying playing Cinderace, I'll say straight up, he's overpowered. And these are some of the few issues that Pokemon Unite has. Like I said, there's some aggressive microtransactions. The game's performance on the regular Nintendo Switch is not the greatest. I do feel like this game was a lot more optimized for higher end mobile phones, and I'm not gonna say it was optimized for the Switch 2 because I don't think the Switch 2 was even a thought yet when this game came out. But however, I could be very wrong. But overall, it's a really fun isometric MOBA. And if you're looking for something that's going to give you that isometric like League of Legends feel or Mobile Champions kind of feel or something like that, especially on a console platform, this is probably the closest thing you're going to get. Especially since Riot, for some odd reason, didn't feel it was beneficial to bring Wild Rift to consoles, which I still think they are crazy for because of how well Pokemon Unite is doing. This game's going on 5 years. It has a competitive esports scene. It's not the highest viewed game on Twitch, but it has a lot going for it, and the game is still running strong. They're still releasing new Pokemon. The game's got a new map since it came out. They've added new boss monsters to the map. They've added several new boss monsters and variants to the map, for different gameplay varieties and buffs and stuff like that. If you want a good isometric MOBA on console, I think Pokemon Unite is the way to go. Now, like I said, the game has its issues. There are things there, straight up. Like I said, some predatory microtransactions. It is a game, based around mobile at the end of the day. But it's a lot of fun, and there's plenty to do here in this game. I really enjoy Pokemon Unite, and if you're looking for a solid isometric MOBA that you can play on console, I know unfortunately it's limited to just the Switch and Switch 2. I would definitely give Pokemon Unite a shot. But anyway, you guys enjoyed today's video? Smash that like. I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace out. Have a good one.